Aisha had always been the quiet type, the kind of girl who avoided the spotlight, kept her head low, and walked through life as if she didn't want anyone to notice her presence. Her family called her shy, her classmates called her timid, but deep inside, Aisha's silence was not weakness. It was her way of protecting herself from a world she didn't quite trust, and it was this very personality that made her decision to visit a gynecologist one of the hardest choices she had ever made in her young life, because the thought of sitting across from a stranger and speaking about matters so personal and private made her heart race with anxiety. Yet the discomfort she had been silently enduring for weeks had left her with no other option, and so, with trembling hands clutching her handbag, she walked into the luxurious clinic she had been referred to, her eyes widening at the gleaming marble floors, the scent of lavender in the air, and the soft classical music playing in the background, nothing like the dull, overcrowded clinic she had expected. As she nervously approached the reception desk, the polite young woman smiled warmly and said, "Dr. Denial will see you shortly," and Aisha froze in her tracks, the name striking her with unexpected confusion. She had imagined her gynecologist to be a middle-aged woman with a calm motherly demeanor, not someone with a youthful, masculine name, and the thought of facing a male doctor in such a delicate matter made her legs weak, but she couldn't turn back now, not when she had already come so far, so she sat in the waiting area, trying to steady her breathing, whispering silent prayers that it would be quick and professional. When the assistant finally opened the door and called her name, Aisha stepped inside, and the sight before her nearly made her gasp. Standing there in a crisp white coat, with a stethoscope draped around his neck, was a tall, strikingly handsome young man in his early 30s, his sharp features softened by a kind smile, his eyes reflecting intelligence and gentleness, and for a moment Aisha forgot why she was there, because the last thing she had expected was that her gynecologist would look more like a celebrity than a doctor. But what shocked her even more was the aura of quiet confidence he carried, as if he was someone who had seen the world from every angle yet still treated each patient with the utmost respect. "Please, take a seat," he said in a voice both calm and commanding, and as Aisha sat down, fumbling with her words, she noticed the subtle signs of wealth in his office. The expensive leather chairs, the rare paintings on the wall, the antique clock ticking softly in the corner, all of which seemed unusual for a medical office, but she brushed the thoughts aside, focusing instead on the fact that she was sitting in front of a man she had never met, about to share the most private details of her health. The consultation began gently, with Dr. Denial asking routine questions in a way that put her at ease, never once making her feel embarrassed or judged, and slowly, Aisha found herself relaxing, her words flowing more freely, though her cheeks still flushed pink each time their eyes met, and though the appointment ended with nothing more than professional advice and prescriptions, Aisha walked out of that clinic with her heart strangely unsettled, because something about this doctor was different. Something about him lingered in her mind long after she returned home. Little did she know, Denial was not just a doctor. He was also one of the city's youngest millionaires, a man who had inherited a fortune yet chosen to dedicate his life to medicine, living in two worlds at once, one of luxury and one of service, and though he never revealed this side of himself to patients, destiny had begun weaving a story that would connect his hidden life with Aisha's unassuming one, and as their paths crossed again and again in the most unexpected ways, Aisha's shy world was about to be turned upside down. If you're already curious to see how fate brings these two together, make sure you don't miss the next chapter, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel because the real twist of this story is only just beginning. Sparkles Now Chapter 2, 2,000 words, single paragraph. The days after her appointment were filled with restless thoughts Aisha couldn't explain, because although she tried to focus on her studies, her part-time job, and her usual routine of quiet evenings spent reading, her mind kept returning to the image of Dr. Denial. His calm eyes, his kind words, and the strange contradiction of a man so young, so wealthy-looking, yet so devoted to a profession that demanded compassion and patience. And one morning, fate gave her an answer she wasn't looking for, when her college organized a charity seminar on women's health, and to her shock, the guest speaker was none other than the same doctor, standing confidently before the crowd, delivering a passionate talk not only about medicine but about empowering women to take control of their health. And as Aisha sat among the students listening, her admiration grew, for here was a man who could have chosen the easy path of enjoying his fortune but instead had chosen responsibility. And after the seminar ended, their eyes met across the hall, and Denial smiled as though he recognized her instantly, which sent a rush of warmth to Aisha's cheeks. Over time, through casual encounters at the clinic, university events, and even by chance in the local library, Aisha and Denial began exchanging small conversations, always polite and professional, yet carrying an undercurrent of something unspoken, and though Aisha tried to suppress it, she could not deny the growing respect and quiet affection she felt for him, while Denial, behind his composed exterior, found himself intrigued by her shyness, her sincerity, her complete lack of interest in his wealth or status, something rare in his world of shallow attention. But the truth had to come out one day, and it did, on a rainy evening when Aisha, while sheltering under the canopy of a bookstore, saw Daniel step out of a luxury car driven by a chauffeur, dressed not in his doctor's coat but in an expensive tailored suit, greeting influential businessmen with the ease of someone born into privilege. And Aisha's heart sank as realization dawned. He wasn't just her doctor, he was part of a world so far removed from hers that it felt impossible to bridge the gap. When Daniel later explained that yes, he was wealthy, but his true passion was medicine and helping people, Aisha struggled to believe him, torn between her admiration and her fear of being seen as insignificant. Yet Daniel's persistence, his honesty, and his willingness to prove himself slowly chipped away at her doubts, and soon, what began as a shy girl's reluctant visit to a gynecologist blossomed into an unlikely connection, one built not on wealth or appearances but on genuine care, trust, and the courage to step beyond comfort zones. Their story wasn't easy, as gossip, societal expectations, and Aisha's own insecurities threatened to tear them apart, but through every trial, Daniel stood firm, showing her that true wealth was not counted in money but in the lives he touched and the sincerity of his intentions. And Aisha discovered within herself a strength she never knew she had, the courage to step into the light and accept love even when it scared her. Their journey reminds us that destiny works in mysterious ways, that sometimes the people we least expect can change our lives forever, and that love, when built on honesty and respect, can bridge even the widest gaps. And as their story continues beyond these chapters, one thing is certain. The shy girl who once trembled at the thought of speaking her truth found not only her voice but also her heart's companion in the most unexpected place. So if you believe in stories of courage, love, and surprising twists of fate, make sure you subscribe to the channel now, because many more such powerful stories are waiting just for you.